Well, Jack, a valiant effort by a 2,000-man force of firemen has finally contained that stubborn brush fire in the Angeles National Forest north of Sunland. Containment came at 8 o'clock last night, and control of the 23 miles of fire line is expected within the hour. County Fire spokesman Ed Waldaffel gave us these final statistics this afternoon. Acres burned, 7,600. Cost of containment, $2 million. Damage to watershed, $2 million. There were no major injuries and only 20 minor injuries to firemen. He tells us that the men will be on the line for another week mopping up spot fires. But it's finally over after 6 days of tough firefighting and a job well done by the Los Angeles County Fire Department, the California Division of Forestry, and the U.S. Forest Service. And the U.S. Coast Guard also deserves plenty of praise tonight after a dramatic rescue in the Gulf of Mexico. An American oil tanker struck a drilling rig today, forcing 46 crewmen to abandon ship, many of them diving into the water without life jackets. Burning oil was spewed over a 2-mile area. Miraculously, all but 5 of the crew have been rescued, including the ship's captain, shaken but very happy to be alive.
How could you run into this? Was it not properly marked?
No, it was not on the whole map, and I don't think it was any light on it either.
No light on the rig?
Seems so. I couldn't say for true.
The Coast Guard is still searching for those 5 remaining crewmen. Of the 41 men rescued, 10 were injured, 2 seriously. All the men were flown to Galveston, Texas on Coast Guard helicopters. A major heroin smuggling and distribution ring has been broken up after 9 months of work by 3 agencies. Grows at the Yorktown, New York estate, where the anguished parents of Samuel Bronfman await word from the kidnappers about their son. The young heir to the Seagram whiskey fortune is reported to be buried alive with a 10-day supply of food and water, and this is the 7th day. Samuel's father, Edgar Bronfman, has agreed to a ransom payment, reportedly $4.5 million. The future appears a lot brighter tonight for 2 more kidnapped victims, these Americans held prisoner by Ethiopian guerrillas. A spokesman for the Eritrean Liberation Front says the 2 Americans will be released soon. The 2 men, Steve Campbell of Reno and James Harrell of Milwaukee, were captured by the guerrillas on July 14th. The guerrillas had originally planned to try the 2 Navy employees for espionage, but Campbell and Harrell talked them out of it. So the Eritreans promised the pair will be freed, but they are not saying when or where. The capture was reminiscent of the seizure of 3 students, including Steve Smith of Gardenia, who were eventually freed by the guerrillas. Eritrea has been fighting for independence from Ethiopia and is using kidnapping as one weapon. We'll talk with a man whose life was saved by fire department paramedics, and a Pico Rivera youth is killed in a freak auto accident.
He told me that he expects to live until he's at least 80 or 90 years of age, and he added, he says, so long as I'm alive, I'm going to continue to make that daily visit to see those men at fire station number 94 in the city of Lakewood. David?
All right, thank you, Frank. The father of independence in Bangladesh is dead tonight, the victim of a bloody military coup that leaves the future of that poverty-riddled nation even more uncertain. The Minister of Commerce for Bangladesh was sworn in today to replace Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, shot to death in the presidential palace by his own guards. 2 of his nephews and his premier died with him. It brought to an end an astonishingly short career for Rahman, a career reviewed in this report. His successor as the leader of Bangladesh is described as a more conservative man with pro-American sympathies. The Portuguese newspaper Expresso says there may be a weekend coup in Portugal. The coup would be triggered by military opposition to the pro-communist prime minister. Portugal has more trouble in Angola, even after resuming power to halt civil war there. Heavy fighting has flared between rival black nationalists in southern Angola. The Marxist Popular Movement is battling the moderate National Union for control of Angola. Governor Brown fought it, but today an Assembly committee okayed a bill to increase the state gasoline tax by 2 cents a gallon. The Senate has already passed the measure. Funds from the tax are earmarked for rapid transit systems and highway construction. President Ford's mind was also on energy matters today as he broke the pleasant cadence of a Colorado vacation to blast the Congress over oil legislation. The president had been expected to veto an extension of controls over domestic oil prices, and he told an energy symposium he'd do just that.
Reduce dependence on imports and stem the outflow of American dollars and American jobs. I will veto the 6-month extension of price controls on domestic oil on this critical issue.
Mr. Ford also told the cheering delegates, including many oil company executives, that his energy program would be more efficient, even if it cost consumers a few pennies more. Dr. George will be coming along with the weekend weather, and we'll take a look at some 8-armed beach invaders. San Diego beaches kind of squishy, maybe visiting Los Angeles area beaches. In fact, the State Department of Fish and Game told us some have already been seen in the waters off of Long Beach. The creatures are certainly unattractive, to say the least, but they aren't poisonous. However, they can give a painful bite with their parrot-like beaks. Ray Alley, a biologist with the Fish and Game Department, said scientists are not quite sure why the squid are visiting the California beaches. They're not usually seen off our coast. The squid did show up last year, but that invasion was the first time they'd been seen in this area since the 30s. Up to now, the interest this summer has been mostly in the sharks in our sea. And Monday night at 7:30, my partner here, my partner in crime, Chuck Henry, will host a special half-hour, the Summer of the Shark. And I would imagine you'll probably follow up with the Summer of the Squid. Maybe that might be the next special.
If they get as big as the one in 20,000 Leagues, we will.
Financial troubles have apparently forced the owners of the Akron stores to sell the 28-store business. The company is blaming its financial difficulties on the recession. Akron has been bought by its largest single supplier, Jack L. Levin and Associates. That firm markets costume jewelry and women's fashion items. It has bought an 80% interest in Akron. Eddie Alexander will tell us a relatively unknown player leads the Sammy Davis Jr. Classic. Another well-known football player calls it quits, and the 49ers will try to make it 2 out of the last 13.
49ers rang up their 4th win.
Time again for sports, and here's Eddie Alexander.
I
Going to talk about
sportscast. What do you
I got some golf. You didn't mention that. Yes, you did. Relatively unknown. Veteran Don Bees is that relatively unknown who had a fan. That's sports. Good luck to you, Jim.
Yeah, we wish Jim the very best. He's
Jim
a great
does an
guy.
outstanding job.
Oh, he does a super job.
As I said, you are running the same interview. Is that pun or plain
I
words?
wanted to just keep on running until I got finished for the week.
How long does that interview run, by the way?
We're through running.
Okay, Eddie, thank you. Some of the brawny members of the New York Mets found themselves in a sticky situation, doing their very best to keep the bubble from bursting. You got the idea.